I am joined by Mark Dziersk of McKinsey Design. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Carlos. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining me this morning. We are going to talk about smart and design. But first, let's talk about McKinsey Design and how that became to be and your role there.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we were Lunar Design up until about 4 years ago when McKinsey and Company, a management consultant, acquired us. Lunar is 35 years old. It was based in the Silicon Valley. Actually, it started in Palo Alto and then migrated to San Francisco.
Okay.
And it was involved with a lot of the development of early tech products. For the first 10 years, we did a lot of Apple's work that was outsourced. And we became one of the premier industrial design consultancies. McKinsey found us and wanted to bring that tool, that method of thinking, design thinking, to business consulting. And that was about 4 years ago.
Wow, that's kind of recent then.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride and a great one.
Yeah, you were part of the early days. Early days of designing things, like you said, part of Apple's rise, essentially.
Yeah, well, Lunar started on Hamilton Avenue in Palo Alto, which is a really cool street because Design Within Reach started there, the D School from Stanford, IDEO, the big design consultancy, and Steve Jobs even took an office on Hamilton Avenue when he was in between, I think it was during the Next period.
Oh, Next.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story.
For sure.
So that's interesting that McKinsey went and did that. They're a huge company, right? 30,000 plus people.
Yes.
And to have you be part of that, that's a great mix, I think.
Yeah, it's a great experience and it's an obligation because we have, the values of McKinsey are to always bring impact to clients. First and foremost. And at our disposal, we have tremendous resource. And then in addition, we are obligated to bring all the people we're working with up that ladder to do the same. So as you can probably tell, I'm thrilled by the idea of it. And it's for design, it's the idea that we finally have the kind of ammo or firepower we need to make big change happen.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about change. Let's talk about design with the smart home. Smart products are smarter living.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on how we can basically design smart and what are the pitfalls with doing so?
Yeah, I mean, I think smart is great. I think meaningful is better.
Right.
So we have the ability to design things that are smart and we can design very intelligent, platform-based tech that nobody wants. And if you do, what's the point, right? So, or, for example, we can break into an industry. I have an example I can show you here.
Yeah.
This is something everybody knows, right?
Yep.
Nest came and woke up an industry that was asleep at the switch, so to speak.
Oh, nice, bud.
Yeah. And they brought intelligence in a product to your home environment. But at Lunar, we thought better was still out there, right? So we designed for another company called Ecobee an answer to the Nest. And it came out just a year later, and it actually wound up pushing Nest out of the Apple Store because it used the software that's compatible with Apple Home.
Right.
And this little indicator here with the B on it, Carlos, that gave us the ability to measure temperature in a bedroom. And there are multiple ones that are provided with the intelligent thermostat. And why was that important? Well, what good is measuring the temperature in the living room if you're
it's freezing in the bedroom.
If you're a working dad and you want to check on your kid, and it's freezing in the bedroom. So now you know that, and now you can sort of interact with that in a more meaningful way.
And that's building it not just for the tech side of it, but for the actual practical use side of it.
Yeah, and that comes from thinking about people first, right? It's who's using this product, why are they using it, and how are they using it? Okay, now we can build, right?
Yep.
We can use Agile method or Scrum for developing software. But again, and it's going to be kind of my point here in this talk, if it's not the right answer, then why do it?
Right.
Now that said, this becomes its own little ecosystem and structure, and you can see what's happening on different devices and interact with it differently. But that's the other thought I have for you here today. This idea of smart home being a platform that everybody buys into, I think that's still way, way off in the future. I think people want really great products and really great experiences, but I don't know that this needs to talk to the refrigerator.
Right.
If you know what I mean?
Right. And that would be building tech for tech's sake. And
Exactly.
like, oh, this is really cool, we can do it, but do we want to do it? And do other consumers want that?
Right. And at what cost, and what do you have to do to become involved in that platform?
So do you see companies doing it well besides the ones you're working with?
Doing which one?
Doing smart well, and they're thinking about the consumer first instead of just building tech for tech's sake. Like, are there companies out there doing it well? You're obviously working with some yourself.
Yeah, well, I do think there are companies that are doing it well. And I think most of that has to do with the how you do it, right?
Yes.
I like to take the idea of agile out of software and into product development itself. So the tech companies we work with, as well as the consumer companies, are using agile thinking and agile method to develop better answers. And that has to do with this combination. Again, you asked me about why McKinsey wanted to acquire Lunar. McKinsey has created McKinsey Design, and that combination has strategists, analysts, as well now as designers and creators. And I think the way that we work is based on addressing emotion first. So this is a story I tell quite a lot. These are my daughters. That's Monroe and that's Emily. Emily's now a second-year design student at MyEd, so I'm really proud of that. Very cool.
Cool.
But about 12 years ago when this picture was taken, Monroe was 8 years old. She's a senior at Elon University now. So I was going to see a big shot. I'll drop a name. I was going to see Michael Dell.
Okay.
We were doing a lot of work for him. And at the time, Apple was 8 billion and he was 80 billion, and he wanted to know why, right? So I had a big head about that. I thought, wow, Michael Dell wants to talk to me. This is great. And I had also gotten a raise at work. I got a promotion. And as I was leaving, I was going to the taxi, and Monroe comes running out, and she hands me a piece of paper. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I put the paper in my coat pocket. I go to O'Hare. I get on the plane. So now I got the raise, I got the promotion. I'm going to see Michael Dell, and I'm the best father in the whole world.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Until I see the picture.
I don't like what's going to happen. I'm afraid of what's going to happen.
Okay. I'm this goofy little guy in the knickers in the back, right?
Okay, I was going to ask which one, yeah.
And this is Monroe's mom, my wife Elizabeth, right?
Okay.
She's the tall, beautiful princess with the
crown is right there,
and
yeah.
kids at this age don't have perspective. I'm not standing behind her. I'm standing next to her, right? And in real life, Elizabeth's about this tall, but not in Monroe's world.
Right, her mind, yeah.
That's my message to tech companies or companies that are developing smart ideas or smart products, is don't do what you think you're doing for reasons that you aren't sure of, but figure out what's really going on in the customer's mind. And from an emotional context or perspective. When you do that, that's when you get products that aren't just smart, but are meaningful.
Right. And they affect us as humans. That's what we're thinking inside, so match or mimic what we're thinking, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, there's a guy at Harvard, I use this slide a lot as well. His name's Zaltman. He wrote How Customers Think, kind of a seminal piece on that. And he would argue that unaided purchase, meaning things that you're going to buy new, meaning that next version of the iPhone, right? 95% of why you're buying that is due to subconscious processing.
So we're doing it because they're telling us to do it? Or we're just thinking we need to do it?
No.
We're not, okay.
You're doing it because somewhere in the back of your mind,
We don't
an
even know.
emotional driver is giving you a dopamine hit at the idea of having that thing.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
And when you can do that, that's when you get products that are absolutely crazy successful, because they have both the technology and they have the emotional context that you want. When I talk about agile methods, I talk about doing things that uncover these reasons. So here's an example of smart product development in an agile way. This is called a digital diary. And what we were doing is we were working actually not in tech, it was on a snack product. And we wanted to figure out how people went about snacking during the course of a week. So we gave everybody an app, put it on their phone, and every time that they ate a snack, starting Monday morning, we would have them register it on the app, talk into it, say a little something about why I picked that. And the best part about this is Monday morning, everybody's like, oh, you know, I'm having a protein bar because I want to be healthy.
Yeah.
By Friday, they're like, cheat day, you know, they're like,
Yeah.
they're really telling you the emotional drivers that are happening, because they get used to the week's worth of interacting with this, this device. Where normally we might do like an ethnography, and I'd come and I'd talk with you for 2 hours. I'd get 2 hours of your thoughts on how you snack. With this kind of a tool, you actually get a week's worth of behavior.
And it's more day to day, and we're changing day to day. Yeah.
And I think we have a better shot at getting what Monroe gave me with that drawing here, right? Not just what I think this customer wants, but what this customer is really able to tell me.
Yeah.
This is another thing. I spent a lot of time in Tokyo last year doing innovation garages, and this is one of them that we did on a new kind of breakfast food. And it's really interesting to look at this. This is a pop-up design studio, right?
Oh, cool.
And the reason we do that is we need the people from R&D, from brand, from insights, all the cross disciplines in a company to come together with us and then design in this new way where we're all interacting together.
That's cool.
Yeah, the old model used to be, you know, designers would go away and then come back and bring you an answer. But in this new agile world, I think we have to develop and adapt techniques for product development as well. And this is one of them. And you know, this is a slide that basically speaks to why smart is really important. There's a demand for better experiences across the board from users. And you know, smartphone has the power of a supercomputer now, so that's a pretty high bar. There's a convergence of both physical and digital that's happening across the board. So I don't think people can live in either domain independently. And it's interesting, isn't it, that Amazon is now opening its own grocery stores.
Oh yeah, it's
right?
reverse, but also the same.
And you see that happening. And then I think this integrated product ecosystem, again, different from buying into a major platform, but appreciating the fact that when you buy products, you have service, usability, the physical action of the product itself, the output, and that all these things are part of an ecosystem that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And then lastly, these new technologies like learning softwares and AI and things like that.
The data AI can bring us, yeah.
Yeah, that makes for basically customers who are extraordinarily demanding on those experiences they have with products. And I always say this, Carlos, the experience that somebody has with your product defines your brand.
100%.
100%, right?
100%, yeah.
Doesn't matter what you say about it, it's how they feel.
And it's got to be reliable. We
it.
see that a lot in stats and people we talk to on this stage. Reliability always seems to be the first thing. It's got to work.
It's got to work.
Yeah.
I agree. This is.
I don't know what that is.
What do you think it is?
I was going to say a fan at first, and now I'm thinking a bike. I don't know.
What do you guys think it is? This is an exercise bike.
Ah, I got it. The second one.
Yeah, we did this a number of years ago now as an experiment in what digital could bring to the equation.
Very futuristic.
Well, because in the first place, you look at even products that are out there now that are state of the art, and they look like they belong in a gym. So I'm using this product to make the point again. If you want to put an exercise bike in your living room, it doesn't have to look like it belongs in a gym. You know, tubes and hardware and all that.
And people don't want to do it because of that thought. They're like, I don't want that big thing in there. Yeah. I want that in my room. I don't even know how it works. I definitely do.
You're welcome to have one. This I thought was really interesting too. We did not do this, but Growy, you may know the company, manufactured faucets for a long, long time. And they just recently came out with the SenseGuard, which is a device that goes into your plumbing that gives you data on how much water you use, what it's being used for in certain instances, potential for flooding to occur and other smart kind of things. So I think it's an interesting way to show a company that used to make a hardware, in this case consumer product, become part of a digital ecosystem or infrastructure. And of course, just to bring us back to ecobee, that's the opportunity here, that these room sensors, this control from anywhere, the success with controlling environment, and in the process, by the way, being eco-friendly or sustainable, because you're not wasting a whole lot of energy that you were wasting before when you're controlling and modulating what's going on.
And that's important. That brings me to a question, one of my last questions I think we have is, when you talk about that faucet, when we talk about major appliance companies, how do you see them getting back into this smart, and how do they, make it cost effective for consumers to, change their systems that they've been doing for many, many years and don't really have a reason to change them? I know it might be an impossible question.
No, not really. I think the thing is, for the first time in a long time, the point of view of design, or what I call the POD, is trumping COGS, cost of goods, right, that it takes to make product. And we've seen this, especially over the last 10 years, in amazing products. So what's an example? The Dyson vacuum cleaner, right, from way back when. Vacuum cleaners had migrated down to $150 for the top end, high end, experience. Dyson comes in, does a better job of it. Okay, maybe it's not smart yet, but just like ecobee, it might be in the future. But the price became elastic, right? Now people are gladly paying $500 for a vacuum cleaner.
Right.
I see that as the answer to your question, is if you're an appliance manufacturer and you're out here and you're making these great high-performing products, that's amazing. If you can somehow tap into a real emotional need, add smart to it, then your price becomes elastic. And I still think these giant visions of platforms where everything in your house talks to itself or each other aren't realistic, not yet. But I do think that just like the ecobee platform, you can have multiple devices, multiple interactions, and a kind of ecosystem of interaction that makes a lot of sense. If you do that right, people will pay the extra money.
They'll pay the extra money. And I think it is based on that, of a few products talked together. Because if it's just one, and you have a bunch of just ones, they're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it.
Mark, thanks so much for the talk. And a round of applause for Mark. And check out McKinsey Design.